Here on the Sportscast, we are buzzing to have Hybrid Training Centre as our new main sponsor. Hybrid trains, assess and develops programs for the gas, electrical, plumbing and renewable energy industry. Whether you are looking to build a career in engineering or an employer who wants to upskill his workforce, check out the link in our bio and see what courses Hybrid have on offer. Hi, what's happening everyone? Welcome to the Sportscast. It's me, Andy Grant. I've got Gary Judge with me from Across the Park podcast. We're coming to you live again, as always, from the workshop. We actually had a bit of a leg at Loving last week, didn't we?
We did, yeah. Family and friends lunch.
We were all here.
Took up all the restaurants.
I know, that's 20 of us here, which was nice. So yeah, once again, come down here to the workshop on a Sunday for your roast. And don't forget, we're not actually going to do it this week.
No one else turns up on a Sunday, we'll be there.
We'll be there, yeah. And it's the
was
Thursday.
Class, by the way, I will say, you do say every week it's
nice,
the best
isn't it?
roast in Liverpool. It's
up there, isn't
very,
it?
Very good, yeah. Very good.
It's up there.
I was impressed there.
And you've also got on Thursdays your barbecue special. It's 2 meats, 3 sides and a bottle of wine for 50 quid. So
I'm
again,
starving as well. I come here like no lunch
you
all
never.
day. That's it.
Sorry,
literally skipped lunch and everything.
I got me little girl stays after this, otherwise I would. That's 50 quid. So again, you've got your Thursday option or your Sunday roast. And now, bringing it to you from the Lega podcast, we've got a new sponsor. You will have heard a little bit about it in the intro, but basically we've got Hybrid Training Centre that have come on board as our main sponsors. It is a hybrid, a training centre that deliver accredited, industry-led gas, plumbing and electrical and renewable training courses across the north. Now, I know a little bit more about this business, someone I'm going to be working with a lot more. Superb what they deliver the course-wise. So if you are in that trade, electricians, plumbers, all that kind of stuff, you know more than me. I'm the worst man's man in the world. But if that is your bag, you're on the tools, then please check them out.
If you're not, and you want to get on the tools.
If you want to get on the tools, yeah. It's the main, well, they've got quite a few, but the main one is just by Switch Island, down, as you go from Switch Island.
Haywood,
yeah.
Haywood it is.
That's where one of the training centres are. So
where the Northwest training centre used to be on the front, it's behind there.
A bit further down, yeah, that road. So yeah, buzzing to have them on board. And again, if you're out on the tools or looking to get on them, then give them a follow. We'll tag them on all our socials. And again, you will have had a bit more info on the
Haysham
Road. Yeah,
I thought it was Haysham. Okay,
yeah, and if you want any more info, even just drop a message to the pod, and we can if you need more direct.
Have we got a link tree?
Yeah, we can add it to it. Yeah.
Put it on the link tree, yeah.
Yeah, put in the link tree as well.
We'll add it to it
on our page, yeah.
Right, that's the what did they call it? The house, the thing you was done. What did they call it? Housekeeping done. Let's get into the sport. Know what I mean? Right, we'll finish off with footy. You'll be pleased to know there's loads of footy. And when I was looking through the sport and stories this week, I was just it was a bit slim pickings this week, I'll be honest. So we'll kind of skim through the sport and stories, and we'll. I want to pull Gary up on a few things, to be honest. So I might wind them up if any Reds are looking to get some bitter reaction. You might enjoy it. We'll start off then with the Six Nations. Only if you're a big rugby fan. It's the Six Nations again this weekend. You've got Scotland against England and Wales against Ireland. I always think it's mad, right? We've mentioned it a few weeks back. It's the only sport that, depending if teams play each other, there's a separate cup involved. So England play Scotland, and then you've got the Calcutta Cup.
Oh yeah, it's class.
Which is like, so you've got, and then there's like the Triple Crown, I think it is, if you win 3 of them.
Yeah, the Triple Crown
the
is
home
based
nations.
On... No, the Triple Crown is if you win 3 games. Triple. As in like, you win 3 grand.
I thought you got it, thought it was only for the home nations, I think.
Oh yeah, sorry, if you beat Scotland, yeah, exactly. Yeah. You need to beat France and Italy and included in that.
Yeah. So there's all that going on, and that's, again, kicking off this weekend. So if you're a rugby fan, you've got that to look forward to. In the darts, which is unfortunate, we're recording on a Thursday because it's the Premier League game day 4.
You haven't updated your thing, have you?
What?
Sorry, I have to read this out, right? Because Andy's typed the notes up, obviously, for topics we're going to cover, and he's obviously been typing it when he's been a bit distracted. Says in the darts, Michael van Herwen. It's obviously,
you know what I mean?
It's corrected you.
Professional, as always, I'd like to say.
Michael van Herwen. Like a rock star darts player who's just turned up.
That could be his name. It could be his walk-on name, to be fair, be better. Well, he's actually come out this week, and he hasn't really had to go at Luke Littler, but he's basically said...
Mate, what you need to go on, I'll let you finish.
He's come out and he's basically just said, I think, to probably the likes of us and any other podcast or media industry.
Stop choosing off him.
Yeah, just stop going on about Luke Littler and give your props to the guy who actually beat him, the world number 1, Humphreys, because since Humphries beat Luke Littler, and Luke Littler had this rise to fame, I don't think I've heard anyone, including us, talk much about Luke Humphries. It's all been about Luke Littler.
I'm a massive Luke Humphries fan, and anyone who was listening to the Sportscast building up to the while that World Darts Championship was going on, I said he'd win it. He did, and I said on the show after it, I was more made up for Luke Humphries. He got over the line because he would have been wounded. That he'd done everything. He'd literally and then some kid turns up and beats him. However, I'm glad Van Gerwen said that, because Van Gerwen is probably the cockiest, most arrogant sports person you'll ever come across. However, he does. He has a degree of don't know. If the best way to kind of describe Van Gerwen, if he ever gets interviewed after a match and the person he's played has not played very well, he'll say they were crap today. They were rubbish. Yeah. He's got high standards of himself, but also he'll say it as it is. Yeah. No, he when I guess a humble sports person would say, look, maybe he didn't have his best day today, he'd say they were terrible on today. Yeah. I didn't win because I was that good. They were just crap. They're not up to the level. So he's quick to point out when a player doesn't play well, but equally, I think he feels as though there's an order of things to sport. Well,
listen, if you look at it from just someone who we're not. Well, I know you're more in it than me, but someone who's just looking into darts, Luke Littler, the spotlight that's been shone on him since he beat Luke Humphries, it's been astonishing, and I guess maybe it's rubbing people up the wrong way in the darts world to think, look, yeah.
Do you mean when he beat him in the Premier League? Because he didn't beat him in the final, obviously.
No, when Humphries beat him in the original final, when all the big talk was...
you just said Littler beat Humphries.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so despite Humphries beating Littler, it's like he's had nothing really. The press... they've not really done much about them, have they?
No, but
maybe that's rubbing up the darts players the wrong way.
Every sport's like that, isn't it? Really, if you had
no,
team sports are the same. Let's be honest.
Give me an example of a team that's been beaten in a final, but yet over the next weeks and months, I've had more press than the team that won it. It's like saying France in the World Cup. No one give a fuck. It was Messi's Argentina.
But it's about the excitement in it and kind of the buzz over it.
No, I get
maybe it doesn't happen
why.
as much with teams, but it happens in individuals where a certain individual get more attention, even though they're not winning the medals, because they're kind of getting people off the seats. There may be an extraordinary talent or whatever. Like the certain World Cups where the players lit it up, and you almost forget who actually was the leading goal scorer in that World Cup because they were that good.
Few and far between that, though. I think. I can't think of another time where someone's not actually won and yet has had more kind of fame and fortune come from it. I look forward to the comments,
because like anything, when you talk about something, you're always like, I bet you when this comes out there'll be loads of people putting comments going, what about this? You'll be surprised, I think.
Yeah, well listen, if you can name me a sportsman or a sports team that have come up just short but yet have gained more popularity, fame and fortune than the actual winners, then I'd love to know. I can't think of any.
Over the short term.
Over the next weeks and months. I don't mean the next, say, three months after it.
I think you'll find a few of them. I mean,
there was a film made, Cool Runnings, was about Jamaica.
Yeah, and he never actually won it.
So if you're...
was that a true story?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it?
You're mad? Yeah. Are you messing?
No.
Do you think Hezzy the Eagles made up as well?
Okay, there's two.
Yeah, exactly. So, what about the swimmer? What about that swimmer who was absolutely terrible? He was finished last or whatever, and he was recently in the...
maybe it's one of those things
that... comedy, I guess. There's a bit of comedy to both of those things, but I think people just latch on to something that's a little bit different sometimes, don't they? And look, it's good to hear Van Gerwen sticking up for the pros who put in the hard yards or whatever, and he's just some kid who's turned up. That said, he's a mercurial talent, isn't he? And I think that's what I'm trying to get at. Sometimes the mercurial talent that turn up and kind of just set the stage you like for a period of time, sometimes get a bit more attention when actually they haven't actually been that as dedicated as the ones who put in the time and effort.
True. I just think maybe Luke Humphries maybe feels a bit hard done by. Maybe some of the other darts players think that as well.
Think about, again, everyone knows who Freddie Adu is, yet he's done nothing. He was a kid at 14, remember?
Yeah, championship manager, exactly, I know him from.
But everyone remembers him because he was a 14-year-old kid from America. He's going to be worth millions, as you say, championship manager. That name rolls off the tongue whenever you say, someone who broke onto the scene dead young. How many players around that time were probably struggling to get an agent who were better players than him, just because they were a bit older? And
I think that's a team sport, though. Again, I think with this being individual, it's more noticeable, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. But I think like even golfers, what's his name, who it's all the big massive drives all the time, big fat fella. My God, John Daly, like, and no, he's crap, never wins anything. But people.
But this is a kid though, Gary.
This
is a kid at 16 who took darts though to like a next level almost.
Yeah, right. Well, Wayne Rooney was at Everton, didn't win anything, but like he was probably getting talked about that season more than the leading goal scorer in the Premier League. When he scored that goal against Arsenal on his pretty much the first time he played for Everton against Arsenal at Goodison, how many people for probably weeks and months on end were talking about Wayne Rooney, even though after that I think he scores about 3 goals.
Yeah, but that was, I get your point, but that didn't come at the end and someone never won something, as in like this is a guy though.
He was the leading goal scorer in that
season.
Yeah,
but that one goal didn't.
If I asked you in that season who the leading goal scorer was,
Thierry Henry. Quickly check that one.
It definitely was. Definitely was.
No, listen, I get your point.
To be honest, but
I get your point. But anyway, Luke Littler himself, he's actually had 4 defeats now in his last 8.
That's the Premier League, though. Said that's his, didn't I?
Yeah, he's gone up a level, and it's
no, it's not just that. The short format, first to 6 legs. I don't think always. Sounds a bit mad. I don't think always the best player wins the night. And I know we're going to talk about Van Gaal going for a hat-trick. The cream rises to the top like in any league, but like in the Premier League, one team can beat another team. Doesn't mean the other one's better.
Yeah.
I think over the course of the Premier League, what's good about the format is that generally the best player wins it. Van Gaal, I think, has won it 3 of the last 4 years, and he looks odds on to win it again.
But coming to game week 4, he's won obviously 2 of them already. So
I wouldn't be surprised to see Michael Smith, for example, win tonight. And I said I was going to put it on the
Patreon.
On the Patreon of who fancy Michael Smith, because Van Gaalen's won 2 on a run on the bounce. I think Michael Smith, whether it was last week or the week before, got beat by him 6-5 in the final. Good value, I think, tonight to win. So I'll throw that on the Patreon. He'll probably get beat by Aspinall in the first match now, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
I think price-wise, you can get some good value. Van Gaalen could easily win it again, but I think Michael Smith for me. But on the general principle of what you were bringing up, yeah, I think it does need to be pointed out that Luke Humphries was the best player last year, and on paper, because he's just won the World Championship, he is the best player in the world.
It's maybe nice that listen, who knows if Luke Humphries and Michael Van Gaalen are mates backstage or something. It might be a case that Humphries has said, "Fucking hell, I've just game number 1, I've just won that." And maybe Michael Van Gaalen's looking out for his mate a bit and was like, you know what? Hang on.
No, Michael Van Gaalen's got no mates. Honestly, got no mates. He's a strange cat. But what I will say is, he hasn't. A couple of weeks ago, he played. He got beat by Luke Humphries, I think, in week 1. I think Van Gaalen played Luke Humphries last week and only beat him 6-5. Yeah, I think Van Gaalen beat Luke Littler 6-3. Van Gaalen, in the simple way that he thinks, would have been like, hold on, Luke Humphries is still a better player than Luke Littler. Why is he getting more attention than him? So probably just him talking straight the way he always does.
Well, considering I didn't think there'd be much talking points, only on 40, that was actually quite a decent dart shot.
I'll always try and make sense to talk about.
Here's a cracking one for you, right? So for the first time, the London Marathon, right, has actually to link in with disabled sport. Are you all right, Musk? Yeah. For the first time, in athletics in the London Marathon have said for people in wheelchairs, they're going to give the same amount of cash than the able-bodied people.
Class for the winners.
Yeah, for the winners.
Competitive.
So if you are, the likes of Mo Farah and that, to win the London Marathon, you win about 43 grand. Second place gets about 20 odd, right? And for the first time ever, the London Marathon have said, whoever comes first in a wheelchair gets you 43 grand.
You're going to get in a wheelchair?
You laugh, but genuinely.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at wheelchair users, the athletes, but
what's wrong, right? Listen, if I said to you, right, Gary, there's 43 grand up for grabs there, do you reckon you can go and beat Mo Farah running close to a 2-hour marathon? You've got no chance. If I said, Gary, we've got a year to train, get in a wheelchair, let's start practicing, I reckon you've got a chance.
But you surely you can't be enabled.
Well, that's what I'm asking. I don't know. Why not? I want to look into those rules. Can you be an able-bodied person in a wheelchair in the London Marathon? And if you can, why aren't more people doing it?
First thing I thought when you started saying that was you're going to get in a wheelchair.
Well, why can't I?
You get in a wheelchair? You've
exactly.
Only got one leg,
yeah, exactly. Why not?
That's a good challenge, mate. That's a serious
43 grand. I reckon if more people knew you could win 43 grand by doing a marathon in a wheelchair and beating everyone, you'd be doing it.
Not easy, that though.
No. No, I'll tell you a quick story on this. So a good mate of mine, if you're looking for some inspiration, A friend of mine called Joe Townsend, ex-Marine, got blown up in Afghanistan, lost both his legs above the knee. So he got into doing Ironman triathlon. So you think about it, right? He swims 2.5 miles, obviously just his arms.
Is he in that, what's it called? The bike thing, what's it called? What are they called again?
Yeah, so he's swimming at first, and then he comes into a recumbent bike. So he's almost lying flat, and he's kind of doing that.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
And then he goes from that into a racing wheelchair.
Wow.
So it's just all on his arms for the whole Ironman.
How fast are you going in a racing wheelchair?
Fast. Lad, fast.
In a racing wheelchair?
Yeah. Well, it depends how big your arms are, but fast.
Yeah.
So he's a machine. If someone wants some inspiration, Google him. But yeah, I think there should be. Listen, maybe I could be chatting shite, and there are rules to stop able-bodied people doing it.
But again, jokes aside, are you classed as able-bodied? You're not, though. You are disabled.
I'm a T44. If you want to get all.
Okay. Is that like a Terminator?
That's like Oscar Pistorius-esque,
fifth level of Terminator.
He's T42, I'm T44, I think, or the other way around.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to be like a B1 or something to be in a wheelchair.
What's the T stand for?
Tremendous. Don't know. But yeah, so I want to know if there's rules to stop you, because how funny would it be watching the London Marathon, right? Someone, a sprint finish, and then at the end he just gets out of his wheelchair. 43 grand, yes! Well,
I seen that once. One of the funniest things that I've ever seen in my life. I sit in the park end at Goodison, and on the right hand side you've got like the disabled area by the away fans. And one time the ball came over, this fella got out of his wheelchair and volleyed it back on the cool as you like, and then sat back down again.
Done. Quick one in golf. Another Luke Littler maybe on the cards. We've got Tiger Woods' son. He's 15 years of age, and he's aiming to qualify for the PGA Tour event. I mean, if he's even 10% of his father, then
the genes are just
what a career he's going to have. So that, if you're a big golf fan, Tiger fan, that'd be something to look out for. Maybe we'll have to touch on last week's UFC. We had Taporia against Volkanovski. It was heartbreaking, really. I didn't actually stay up and watch it. Caught the highlights the next day, and obviously was just gutted for me mate who I got a selfie with in Vegas.
Say, who needs friends like Andy when you didn't stay up to watch his match?
Well, Muskie, who's in the studio with us today, was joking and was like, anyone I get a selfie with is going to get beat next. So then I quickly threw into the group chat a photo of me and Leon Edwards.
Back against them too.
Nah, but
he was the only favourite that got beat that night.
Yeah, I mean, what pissed me off a little bit about Taporia in the run up was that he was trying to be so much like McGregor, where he stole the belt off him, and he'd done all that like, it was like, mate, that's being done. I get.
When you back it up, mate.
Well, yeah, listen, he did back it up, fair play to him, but try and create your own way. Yeah, McGregor has got the blueprint for what to do. I get that. But try and make your own waves, and like Sean Strickland's kind of gone a different way of like just being himself, and even Sean O'Malley's done a bit like with the hair and smoking weed all the time. Do something a bit different. Don't do exactly what McGregor did. I actually seen a brilliant meme, and it was on what's that film where everyone's talking about the drink your bathwater thing?
Saltburn.
Saltburn. Have you not seen it? Where,
I've seen
but
it.
have you seen the meme where McGregor's in the bath like this and Taporia's drinking the bathwater? It was a bit like that. It was like, come on, mate, just forge your own way. But listen, take nothing away from the performance. He KO'd Volkanovski, and but then again, straight away called out McGregor. So in his thing, who knows whether that fight will happen in Spain.
Moment, that, wasn't it? Not that he was
it felt like a passion at the soul, the old against the new type thing. It was like, but listen, I don't think they ever will get that fight on, but what a fight that'd be. And then little one on the boxing, just with things heating up now. You've got obviously Joshua 2 weeks out now from fighting Ngannou, and you also had the Taylor Catterall presser start. I only watched the one that was on TalkSport, and I think that was the third or fourth one. It was a bit limp, it was a bit tame.
They ended up shaking their hands on that one.
The Jim White one?
The Jim White, Simon Jordan. And you could just tell that they've
press
been...
conferences with
the press
the
conferences.
good ones. That first one probably was the better one of the two.
The one where he grabs him by the neck and then Taylor half tries to throw.
The one I saw...
You've got to try and then recreate that for the second one then, haven't you, really?
Lad. By the third and fourth one, they were just like, mate, whatever, sound, seen a bit, ta-da.
I'm sick of the sight, you know.
It was just boring, the last one. But listen, it's definitely got the juices flowing. What will be a great fight in Leeds in a few months' time.
It's an interesting psychological dynamic, because you've got Jack Catterall who's saying I genuinely hate him, and Josh Taylor basically saying he's not even like at the level that I can hate because he's just a Ming. Do you know what I mean? He's basically saying like, why was I even hate him? I don't hate anyone. I just want to knock him out. And it depends on what you read into that first fight, because a lot of people will say, look, Josh Taylor was undercooked, didn't really take it seriously. Jack Catterall deserved the win on the night, and there's anyone really that can genuinely question that. So do you buy into the fact that Josh Taylor wasn't at his best, or do you buy into actually Jack Catterall was the better fighter, and since then Josh Taylor's performance has been underwhelming. Jack Catterall wasn't great against Yanarez, so it's
I think the big one, which comes down to the psychological effects, is if I'm Jack Catterall, I am fuming because he's taken away the millions of pounds that he could have been earning. So I think there's an anger and a bitterness there that you've took what I should have had.
Yeah, for Jack Catterall.
For Jack Catterall is, so it's whether that then spills over and affects his performance. But then also with Josh Taylor, listen, he can talk all he wants and say, whatever, you're not even on my level to hate. But when he goes to sleep at night and he turns off that bedroom light and he's lying in bed on his own, he knows it's only him. He can say what he wants to the media. He knows himself whether he's thinking, oh God, I need to go somewhere I've never been before to beat this lad because I got battered by him last time. Like he can say, I won, who cares? But
he can get battered by him, but
he got beat convincingly, lad.
Yeah, I don't know. It was definitely a catch.
And my point is, though, he can have whatever said about him. It's only him that knows.
Yeah, you're right. You're spot on there. I was just going to say that. He'll know in his mind either, listen, I didn't train nearly hard enough last time. If I do, I know I'll beat him. Fact. Or he equally knows
that I did train everything.
I did put it in and he was better than me.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be telling. I think when it comes to the fight,
you've got to. I think it does say a lot. And as you said, it's cost him millions of pounds because he hasn't had fights since, and everyone dodged him and stuff. I think Josh Taylor's got to know, hasn't he, that he's dodged the bullet there in that first fight by getting away with it, and he knows. Yeah, I think it's tough. That
it's going to be fascinating. Like I say, we're miles off now. It's about April, I think it is. Isn't
April 27th.
April 27th. We've also got Peter. Is it Peter?
Peter's got his rematch against Oakwin.
Joe's got an out and out. Isn't he in the Olympia? Isn't he?
Joe's in the Olympia on Saturday.
Yeah.
And
bit of a tune-up.
Joe McGrail, yeah.
With respect, it's a bit of a tune-up, isn't it?
Yeah. So Joe really performed well over in America in December. So it's his first one, 2024. You got Jack Turner on there as well. You got Butler on there. To be fair, it's a good local card.
It is, yeah. It is. Stephen Vaughan.
That's this Saturday in the Olympia.
Yeah.
Happy days. Yeah, so that'll be that. Yeah, great boxing coming up then again. Little one on tennis before we move on to footy.
Sorry, there is still tickets for that, by the way. So
at the Olympia,
that'll be a really good night, as Muskie says.
You down for that, Musk?
Yeah, I'm going
for that. Yeah. Musk will be there, and then I hope you're in bed early because we'll get on to it. There's a cup final the next day.
I'm driving.
Oh, good lads, good lads.
We'll talk about Wembley.
Fuck that.
Before we touch on the footy, because there's quite a bit to get through. The last one on other sports was Andy Murray. It was quite sad, wasn't it?
Yeah, because he the night before or the day before, he's won his first match, hadn't he, in 2024. And then again, I don't know if anyone.
I've had many though. It's only in February.
No, he's had quite a few outings, hasn't he?
Has he? Yeah.
I think it was like his 4th tournament.
He's been getting smoked already, has he?
I mean, he's been getting beat narrowly, I think, in the first round. But yeah, he'd won his first competitive or ATP match of the year. Saying up many, it's the end of January. A lot of ATP events.
End of Feb.
End of February. So it's best part of 2 months, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
So anyway, he'd gone into the next day against an 18-year-old, and I didn't see the match. Obviously, he's lost the match. But there's a clip that Sky put out where he misses with a net shot, like a volley at the net, drop shot I think it was, wasn't it? But it hits the net, and you see him clearly say to his coach, "I'm not. It's not for me. This
game's not for me anymore.
Not for me."
Sad that and again we've mentioned this without labouring on about the point. It's like tennis is a mad one, isn't it? Because when do you leave? There's no perfect time, is there?
You can't go out on the top in tennis because you're thinking
it takes so much more.
Yeah.
If you're winning Wimbledon, you're not quitting, are you?
No.
If you're winning one of the big majors, you're not going, thanks everyone, that's me done.
And you can't half, and we spoke about the dilemma almost at the ATP points, and that you can't half cook it and go, I'm just going to play the majors, because you can't really get away with that.
No. Yeah, it was a sad one for him to say, like, utter those words and that. So yeah, it was unfortunate for him.
And you know what I will say as well? And again, you can look at this two ways and say that maybe the reason why he was getting these injuries because he wasn't prepared. He's fought back from so many injury setbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a couple of my friends who work in America, and he's came to their like, you know, performance centres and trained for like 10 weeks on his own. Like, and they've been messaging me and going, look, I've seen Andy Murray putting the work in, like literally 3-4 hours every day, physically putting himself through everything just to get him back on the court. And
sad, isn't it?
You know, he has given his best go, and I think, you know, not to labour on it like we did last time, I think now's the time, and he's saying that on court, visibly in front of the cameras. Yeah. He's feeling it clearly. It's got to
be a matter of time now, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's that saying again?
Maybe he wants to just go out at Wimbledon. Maybe he's thinking, you know what, I'm fit, but just keep ticking over.
If he even gets to it, though.
I know, that's it, though.
He'd be lucky to get a wild card or something, maybe.
No, he'll always get.
Do you think?
Invited back. Yeah, without doubt.
I'm crap at my quotes today. What's that saying about? Is it mother, grandfather clock or something? Always waits for no one or something. What is it? Mother time or something? It's lost me today.
Mother nature.
It's grandfather time or something. Grandfather clock or something. Anyway, I'm not on it today. Right.
Saying in the comments.
Right. So we move on to footy because it's the end of February and me and Muskie are on
just
our way.
Waits for no one, isn't it?
No. It's something like grandfather time or something like that.
Go on, alright, let's leave it there.
Someone will message me and let me know. Right, it's the end of Feb. Liverpool are top of the league and we're on our way to Wembley. Aren't we? Well, you're not, because you're bottom of the league and not going to Wembley.
We're not bottom of the league.
Sorry, we're like
in the relegation zone.
Fourth from bottom, sorry. Anyway, me and Musk are going to Wembley.
Depends what Premier League table you're looking at. But
me and Musk are going to Wembley and we're top of the league. Before we get on to the Premier League, a few matters outside around the world of football. Some crackers here for you, by the way. Have you seen the Messi dilemma that's going on?
No, I only seen the ridiculous bit of skillies on last night where there was a fella lying on the floor, injured, and he chipped it over him on the floor to then get a shot in. What a player.
Yeah, he got man of the match for his opening... was it the first game in there?
Yeah, Real Salt Lake it was, yeah.
So this is a belt of this for you. So obviously Inter Miami have just kicked off their season. Like you say, 1-2-0, like Gary said, put in a man of the match performance as he did Messi. In their pre-season tour, Inter Miami put a big poster up with Messi, obviously front and centre, going to China, to Hong Kong, and was due to play a couple of friendlies. Messi's got there, and for some reason he's been injured and couldn't play. They've fucking kicked off big time. Saying
the Chinese did.
Yeah, why is Messi not playing? Like kicked off massively at Inter Miami. He's injured. He's not playing.
Inter Miami have kicked off.
No,
the Chinese have kicked off at Inter Miami.
Yeah, because they've sold tickets saying Messi's here and Messi's not played. So they've kicked off big time. To the point, Argentina were meant to have 2 international friendlies in China against I think Ivory Coast and someone else. China have cancelled them. Wow. To the point, Messi has had to make a video. He's literally got his like a little selfie out saying, "Look, I'm sorry to all my Chinese fans. I was injured. You know, there's no reason why I wouldn't play. I played in China before. I think he might have won the Olympics there. I love me Chinese fans. You know,
I love me Chinese.
Lad, it's got so political.
I eat chicken fried rice on a Friday. To no problem against China. I thought you were gonna say I love me Chinese.
To the point, he's they've had to rearrange the friendlies, and now these friendlies are taking place in America.
Wow.
He's caused a massive political debate.
Political war between Argentina
and China.
I know who's winning that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, the Argentina's getting smoked.
Again.
So, yeah, Messi's literally caused, and he's had to come out, though, and say, I'm sorry I was injured. And also, sorry, Inter Miami, I've refunded the tickets by 50% as well. To anyone who bought a ticket just because Messi didn't play.
But that's where that conspiracy from last season is coming about, because it was he's injured, but they'd never say that he was injured until the day of the game.
Until everyone's bought the tickets.
So it's we've sold our tickets. Yeah. People are coming to see Messi,
but it's not
paying over the odds.
It's not like though you're going to see a Taylor Swift concert and Taylor Swift doesn't play. Like you're going to watch Inter Miami. Messi's just one of those players.
Well, yeah, but like that.
That's just terrible fans. That's
like going to see a festival, isn't it? And the headline act doesn't turn up.
Maybe, but
that's exactly what
I suppose. Good analogy.
It won't be the hardcore Inter Miami fans.
Of course,
no. Isn't hardcore Inter Miami fans.
Yeah,
he's non-existent. Been around for 5 years.
Well, it's that Beckham Effect that you see when Beckham goes, or Messi. Yeah, I suppose.
Well, funny enough, I was actually I was working in America for the MLS on the season that Beckham signed over there for LA Galaxy.
No, it was in the front of the Echo when obviously Beckham was in the mirror, and in the front of the Echo was Gary Judge signed for the MLS.
Course, yeah. No,
Remember it? No,
I was. No, I wasn't here, was I? So I missed it.
Oh, I'll send you.
No, I was just a minor coach at the New York Red Bulls at the time. But his first game.
Don't put yourself down, lad.
His first game. Up. Well, you put me down, so I'm just gonna
put you down. I said you're in the front of the Echo, lad. What bigger praise do you want?
No piss taken there, was there? The first game he played, which was at the Giants Stadium at the time against the New York Red Bulls, we had to like give them all like a guard of honour on the way out. And honestly, I've never seen anything like it. And everywhere you went, Beckham.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. But to that extent, I think they played a game they were meant to play against New England Revolution, which Boston isn't far, obviously, from New York, and we lived in between New York and Boston. We went to go for that game, but we found out, or we were told, Beckham's not going to play. But when they're not saying nothing. Because like
so it's not a new thing.
No,
then?
It's not a new thing at all. But Beckham actually came out. I think he'd said, "Look, this is not right. I still want to come out and show me appreciation." And what Beckham's like, isn't it? He literally went around the stadium and was like signing autographs and all that. So, I guess it took a little bit off. I think he even went on and done a few keep-ups, at half time and stuff. But funny story about that first game he played, which was his first MLS game at the Giants Stadium. Every time. LA Galaxy got a free kick, even if it was in their own half, everyone got up like that, clapping, thinking Beckham was going to take the free kick. And there was one point, right, where they got a free kick in the right back position, like halfway in their own half, and Beckham had to just jog over and take it, because everyone was just getting up.
Fucking hell.
And it was
I know, like,
we were all laughing our heads off, going, "Oh my God."
Without being one of those that are like, football's only for people who like love it.
It was.
I know everyone's got to get a chance to get into it, but I hate it.
It was bad, yeah.
It
wasn't like a real game of footy. It was just like a show.
I can imagine. Two very different stories now about ex-players going to jail. One quite serious, one quite funny. First one is Danny Alba, who is the most.
Alves.
I think he's
most decorated.
I think he's alongside Messi.
Danny Alves.
Jordi Alba. I'm thinking of Jordi Alba. Sorry, poor old Jordi Alba.
I literally put before the show.
Yeah.
You've typed out Alba.
Danny Alba. I know. Sorry, start that one again. So
that's an example of what I was talking
Danny,
about.
that's what we're working with here. Sorry, Danny Alves is the joint most decorated player. 43, I think, titles it is. Him and Messi. Like, I mean, what a right back he was. Anyway, he's just got himself 4.5 years in Nick for sexual assault in a nightclub.
He's lucky to have not got more. I can't believe he can get more.
Well, he's probably only going to do 2 as well, isn't he?
That shouldn't have been the charge from what I read. Apparently, and again, if someone's got this wrong, but I'm fairly certain I haven't, he'd raped the woman and then battered her after it. So
he was claiming it was consensual. She's obviously saying it wasn't.
But he battered her after it. So
he's got himself 4.5 years in Nick, which is just mad, isn't it? When you just and you know what, a little bit off subject.
You said this last week, didn't you? You kind of like immortalise.
Yeah,
these
you
players,
do.
Don't you? As though one, they never say players. We were speaking about it.
They immortalise themselves though. By then feeding into it themselves, going, I can do that and get away with it.
I can do whatever I want. Yeah.
A little bit of a hook on this, and just bear with me. If anyone saw my Instagram this week, right, it starts off as a bit of a joke, right, but I was going to play R. Kelly on one of my runs, right, and it's always a bit of a touchy thing, and you can't really play R. Kelly because he's turned out to be a bit of a nonce and an abuser and all this, but yeah, it seems to me that a certain artists that we still play that have got equally checkered pasts.
Do you know what that is though? That's the world we live in now, where there's Netflix and there's Amazon documentaries. If we had Netflix back in the 70s and the 60s and whatever, the people you were talking about, the other artists like Marvin Gaye and Elvis and Michael Jackson, maybe wouldn't have
the careers they've had.
Not the careers, maybe they still wouldn't be allowed to be
act how they did,
celebrated. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's almost like, it's a bit like footy players.
Well, that's what I was gonna kind of bring it to. It's like it's mad, isn't it? Like almost, and the kind of not jokey bit I was gonna say, but it's like people will still sing songs of these people who've been like noncy and like done terrible things. I wondered if like Danny Alves as a right back will still be kind of looked upon as like in coaching manuals, like, well, this is how you do it like this, or now because he's a rapist, is he like just suddenly no one can kind of mention it ever again?
I think it's a really good point. I think it's a really good point because,
like, for example, in like
R.
FIFA
Kelly
Awards,
the artist isn't R. Kelly the person, is it? They should really be separated. But
when he's singing songs though about hiding in a closet,
I think exactly, and that's it. That's one thing. But the other thing I was going to say is, by singing his songs, you're literally celebrating them, aren't you?
Yeah.
Saying, if you're in a music school, I don't think there would be anything wrong with saying the way that R. Kelly used to verbalise
studying
his
his music.
Do you know what I mean? The way he used to do this is something that's continued by other people. But by like actually putting them on a...
I wonder whether in the coaching then it's different. I wonder if like best ever right backs, I wonder whether the media now will be a little bit like, don't mention him. Do you know what I mean?
The media?
You never know. Like,
well, he probably won't get like a FIFA card. That's the kind of like...
Yeah, commercially,
no one's recognition type
but
thing.
But how interesting is that though? Like, do you know what I mean? You're talking about the most decorated right back ever to play football.
I think editors, like, of the likes of The Athletic, don't put it on there. It's just not worth it.
Or I wonder if you've got like the BT Sport panel or something, TNT, whatever it is, they're covering the Champions League, who's the best ever right back. Now, they might have in their heads Dani Alves, and they're like, oh, I'll go for, I don't know.
Ale Barrett. I don't even know who he is.
No, go for Trent instead. But it's interesting one, how they kind of, the media works their way through that.
Yeah.
The other less serious crime, well, I don't know, you'll have to ask him this if it's less serious, but...
I did put on another, again, a bit of context. Andy does these notes, they come through to my phone. I've changed some of the spellings. Andy hasn't refreshed his. I also put at the end of this, just as a disclaimer, this is old news, mate, because this did come out a while ago, but I'll allow you to have it, yeah. It's been out for a few months now.
I've only seen this today. Maybe there's been developments in the case.
The Reds have just seen it now, so it's now news.
It was when I was actually looking in the Athletic app and I clicked on Everton.
Okay.
Actually.
That's how old the news is. The Athletic is reporting it.
Well, there you go. Go on then. So it's Everton's Lee Ty, remember him?
Lee Ty, yeah. So again, a bit of background for people who didn't know how Lee Ty signed for Everton.
I can't actually remember this, yeah.
Everton's done a commercial deal or sponsorship with a company called Cajun. Don't even know what they used to do. It was Keigan.
Cajun chicken?
Cajun, no, with a J.
That's a joke.
Yeah, that's probably how you'd spell Cajun, to be honest. Anyway, it was a big deal over in China and whatever. And as part of the deal,
it's like younger brother or something, wasn't it? Cousin or something?
No. I don't know if we had to sign them or Cajun signed them for us, but we got two players, Lee Tai and Lee Wai Feng. Lee Wai Feng was a centre-back. I want to say he played a League Cup game once, but he may not have even made an actual competitive appearance. But he was there or thereabouts. He was in the squad. He was playing for reserves. Eventually went out. Lee Tai actually played the best part. Again, I want to say 30
I think it was games. Like 30 odd games, yeah, 32 games.
I remember the season. I think he was a decent player. You know, very Asian in the way he was brilliant. Just didn't really have a lot else. Do you know what I mean? He could pass a ball really well. Looked dead good on the eye in terms of his always looked the part and whatever. But yeah, the story is that.
Yeah, well, he's apparently paid £3 million to become the Chinese national head coach. And the way things are in China, they don't know whether it was a bit of a stitch-up, whether he's maybe fell out with the wrong person, but it's all coming back to bite him on the arse now. And he looks like he's going to be spending a few years in a Chinese jail, which is unfortunate.
Just more Everton news, exactly what you want. Ex-Everton player who's cheating.
Well, listen, you must have paid him a few quid if he's got £3 million to bribe the Chinese authorities. So thanks to Everton.
Money, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Right, we've got a bit of mind. We'll finish off with the Mighty Reds since we're going to Wembley this weekend. So we'll work our way up to them. Jim Ratcliffe started being a bit more vocal this week. Obviously, got a stake in Man United. He's talking about building a new United ground that will be the Wembley of the North. But the best bit about it is, considering he should be Britain's richest man, although he moved to Monaco now, so he doesn't have to pay tax. Despite that, the billions he's worth, he's going to put it to the taxpayer because he thinks it'll be a great thing for the North. So thinks the taxpayer should help to build Man United a new ground, which the whole of the North can benefit from.
Yes, we've been deducted 10 points because of loans against our stadium that we couldn't afford to buy.
It's mad, isn't it? It is bizarre, but I mean, listen, if you're a United fan, it's music to your ears. You know, this guy's coming in and he's like, look, we're going to do a new stadium, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Let's be honest, if you're a United fan, you're made up, aren't you?
Oh yeah, he's saying the right things. He's saying, look, United are the biggest club in the world, and this is where, you know, they need to be.
He's talking about knocking City and Liverpool off the pitch. He's doing all that.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what you want to hear, isn't it?
But I was just a bit like...
He's a bit of a melt and doesn't say much apart from...
Well, listen, that's a step up from the Glazers, isn't it? Which never said fuck all for 20 years. So I just thought that was a bit mad, thinking, yeah, it's a thing for the North and the taxpayer will help us. Right, okay, great. And I suppose, if anything, it's going to give City a little bit of it'll give City fans a bit of a laugh because City's owners have actually not asked anyone for help and just completely transformed.
But
where
they
the
were
Etihad,
given a stadium, weren't they?
Yeah, for
The
nothing.
Etihad was from the Commonwealth Games, weren't
Um, one other thing, should we touch on? Yeah, because it all kind of links into Evan a little bit.
All links into Everton. All the negativity links into Everton.
We'll go to Germany for a minute.
I might just get off for the last bit if you're just going to sit there talking about the cup.
Well, Bayern
you can sit down and I'll go and sit over there.
Bayern Munich lost again. Tuchel's come out this week, said he will not be the manager from the start of next season, which then prompted claims from Bayern to be looking into Xabi. There was even a few reports that they might look to Klopp. Since then, Klopp's agents come out and said he will not manage for another year. And apparently I've seen reports saying that Bayern are already too late to the party. Alonso and Liverpool are already further down the line. It's just going to be interesting, I think, just in general for European football, as there might be a little bit of a managerial merry-go-round. There's talk of Ancelotti maybe going to the Brazil squad, wasn't it? The Brazil national team.
He just signed a new contract at the start of the season.
Well, that might have gone away, that news, but there was rumours of that. So yeah, I think some big moves, as in Mbappe's going to be moving, and big managers moving as well. So I think it'll be an interesting one with Alonso, Bayern, Leverkusen, Klopp, what he does, and obviously Liverpool as well. But yeah, no respite for Leverkusen. He's kicking on, and Bayern slipping up even more.
I think if Bayern weren't thinking about Alonso, I think they probably would have got rid of Tuchel now. Whereas if they're letting people know that he's going at the end of the season, are they just saying we're going to wait just in case?
Clubs aren't soft, are
Alonso's not going to leave now, is he? He wouldn't just pack up and jump over, but he might do it once he's won the Bundesliga, and then he could.
The only thing I forget though is he's obviously got just as much of a connection with Liverpool as he has Bayern. That's the thing that scares me a bit. Do you know what I mean?
You were saying then, apparently they're a bit further down the line. I've heard the opposite. I've heard that he's more likely, because of the fact he's in Germany now, to go, well, I'll go to Bayern.
It's easier for him and his family to.
A lot easier, yeah. And I also think as well, and it'd be an interesting debate this about.
Another thing as well, and you might feel different about this in your Liverpool group, but in the Reds, the kind of I speak to and some of my mates, there's a bit of a mix around, how much Alonso was loved by the fans, if you like. Not saying that he didn't love him and appreciate him as a player, but most of our mates are like, he only has one good season. Like,
he was brilliant,
whatever.
Lad.
One good season or a season and a half or whatever. Most of them, yeah, he was brilliant, but it was only really.
I think though, when you look at some of these players, like you look at the team he was in, lad.
But also that doesn't make any difference to whether you want him as a manager, though.
Yeah,
no, of course not.
No. But I think what the point they were making is, I'm not sure how much he really loved it at Liverpool. Obviously, the Champions League win was unique for him, but his best years as a player and probably personally and professionally were at Bayern and at Real Madrid.
No, of course not, and that's down to he's got Jimmy Traoré at left back, and
exactly so much. And if you're Spanish, with the greatest respect as well.
Well, that's the point I want to make, though. It's a little bit like, and you can maybe use this argument with like the likes of Haaland. It's like, at what point do you come to the Prem? Because if you come maybe too soon, it's like, where do you then go after the Prem? Right, Haaland, he might do 5 or 6 years. He might go to Madrid. Alonso's been managing 2 seasons or something. Is it too early to come to the Prem? Maybe if he goes to neither Bayern or Liverpool, maybe stays at Leverkusen for another year.
I think that I was going to say, if I professionally, and I think he seems to me to be a sensible person. Obviously, he hasn't gone in and tried to go. He went and took a reserve job at Sociedad behind the scenes, and he's built his way up. If you like, I think with everything that's going on and the backing he's got from Leverkusen, the fact that I wouldn't say the pressure's off, but if he didn't now win the league with Leverkusen, it's not going to be like the disaster of the century. Don't get me wrong, it'd be
a massive bottle job, though.
But the point I'm making is.
By the way, can I just say on this, I've looked into the fixtures. They're in the semi-final of their cup against a team who's in the lower division, and then the other semi-final is another 2 teams that are, I think, the lower division. So he's nailed on to win the cup, and then the only other big team in the Europa League's Liverpool. So he actually could do the treble. And he should really do the treble now. If you look at the league, that the difference.
The
point
I was going to make is, why would you not want to go into next season with a group of players with a structure that you're comfortable with, and be in the Champions League with that? Because it's like, if you go to a Bayern, if you go to Liverpool, you're straight in at the deep end in a competition with different players, a different network of people supporting you, whatever, or not supporting you, the media.
Because that job doesn't come along often.
come on, mate. You say that. I think it does.
Liverpool?
Yeah, only because of Jurgen Klopp. It did before then. It was about like two or three managers in like 8 years, didn't you? Brendan Rodgers, Dalglish, Hodgson.
Okay, but I
think there's exceptions. But
okay, granted. Okay, hang on a sec.
Listen, just bear with me.
It was three in 6 years.
Yeah.
So,
if you lose a Klopp, or if you lose an Alex Ferguson, or if you lose a Jose Mourinho, that usually is followed by 3 or 4 appointments in a space of
I get that
period of time.
And that period of time you're talking about there was no success. There was a lot of instability. Blah blah blah. The argument against that though is now Klopp has built. There's a lot of structure there, a lot of infrastructure. There's a big foundation.
You haven't had a consistent director of football for 3 years. Left over last year.
I know what you're saying.
Staff will be gone.
But what's there though, the blueprint that's there is a lot different than maybe inheriting what Roy Hodgson took over, or Kenny Dalglish, or Roy Hodgson
was the third,
or Brendan Rodgers.
Wasn't he the third of the 3 managers though?
The point is, who'd you rather take over, the Brendan Rodgers team or this year?
No, Hodgson was 2010, so 09. Benitez
It was
left.
Benitez, Dalglish, Hodgson. Sorry, Benitez, Hodgson was it?
Yeah.
Dalglish, Rodgers. Right, so would you rather inherit any of those teams or this year?
Hodgson inherited a Europa League team who financially were up the wall with the previous owners.
So no, I know
you lose Mascherano in the last couple of days of the transfer window.
You asked me a question before, so I'm gonna nice one, Muskie. You're spot on as well, and that context is important. You asked me a question before. I'm gonna ask you a similar question. Name me a time when a manager who's had a dynasty, who's been there for whatever 6 to 10 years, is then replaced by someone else who then stays for 6 to 10 years.
You look at Wenger as well, and the point you're saying is accurate, and I agree with it. But I'm saying, if there is a time to come to Liverpool as the manager, would you rather want to come?
I wouldn't want it straight after Klopp. Absolutely not. That's the point I'm making. You don't want to take over from someone. I know you can talk about, he's created this structure. He hasn't. The structure is defined by the team around you and the people around you. There's been, if anything, instability. And I think the reason why, in my opinion, Klopp is so keen to kind of have a bit of a rest is he's probably been dealing with all the stuff behind the scenes and all of the turnover, all the fact of the owners wanting to keep things, as profitable as possible. And I know there's been a split in the fans in terms of thinking the owners should have put their hands in the pocket a bit more. You're probably so far on that side of the right ends of FAP that it's probably frustrating more than anything else.
I think it's 6-1 after us, Nuda, because I think if you walk down the street and ask people, would you rather go in after Klopp? Yeah, the pros and cons of that are you're not going to be anything like Klopp, but you've got all those players. The other aspect is though, if you go in when Liverpool are doing crap, you've got the mammoth task of trying to get them to a level like Klopp again. I personally prefer to go in with those players and with that team.
It depends what Xabi Alonso wants, though, doesn't it? We don't,
of course, of course.
That's the big question. And I think that what I'm saying in terms of what I think Xabi Alonso will want in a group of players, and 2, the fact he's thinking about replacing arguably one of the best managers in your history. I think that's not a poison chalice. I just think there's too many
big ask.
Too many cases and too much precedent down the years of replacing a manager that's done so well over such a long period of time and not going well for the next manager.
Well, I'm almost weirdly going to come round and actually agree with you a little bit, because in the sense that you take for Alonso his age, and he might think it's a poison chalice to go there. If someone else goes in and does 5-6 years, Alonso's going to be early 50s maybe.
Still
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's still early on in his career, and he could go back.
Yeah.
So maybe you're right. Maybe he does stay at Leverkusen.
I think you look at I wouldn't say the blueprint. You look at the most successful managers in our generation of the last 50 years. Their first club or their first main club, they've had a good stint at. Good 4 or 5 years. And I know you've got like your Pep who's jumped around, but he still had a long stint at Barcelona. Klopp had still the best part of 3 years at Dortmund. Wenger may be an exception because it was his first big job. Where was he? Monaco or something like that before that. But Alex Ferguson had a few years at Aberdeen, but he's only moved across the border, hasn't he?
Mate, I'll move on, mate, to another manager, which will divide opinion because they're having a mare at the moment, and we won't harp on about it too much because it probably winds you up. But I genuinely, and I'm not saying this to wind you up.
No, you've already messaged me about it and I've seen it on there.
It baffles me just the Moyes hatred that West Ham have got at the minute for him. Maybe you can understand it, but I think if you're a West Ham, he's won them a European Cup. They're sitting pretty in the league. Yes, they are on an awful run of form at the minute, but I just think and that's why I compare it to Everton. Everton fans seem to, you know, absolutely despise the idea of taking him back the other year. Everyone was like, no, we're not going backwards. He still gave you the best season you've ever had.
All right, let me say two things. One, there's no hatred of Everton fans of David Moyes. Two, I know a lot of West Ham fans, none of them hate him. They just feel as though he's got them to a point now where it's like, look, we've won a trophy, he's got that monkey, we'll be forever grateful. Actually, I've had West Ham fans who I've spoke to who've said, do you know what, when he leaves, let's get him a statue as well, because he's actually a legend of West Ham. No, I swear down. They've said, let's get him, because he's done the biggest thing in the club's history in terms of trophy-wise. He's got us further than anyone has before. However, we just don't see how he's ever going to take us beyond this. And you know what? That's the bit that I have got empathy for. And bear with me, because I'll come back to when he was rumoured to be coming back. He got Everton further than they'd been for 20 years or whatever, since the 80s when he was at Everton. But the minute he got money, and the minute he was allowed to spend money and spend it well, he spent it terribly. And he never got massive investment from the Everton board, so I wouldn't say it's as good as the investments he's actually had from West Ham. But he did get money, and whenever he was allowed to make big signings, they weren't for, like Billy Elettonov, he spent like nearly 15-16 million on him. Fellaini was okay in the end. That was actually a good signing, but he made some poor, like he bought Matteo Ferrari from Italy, who no one will even know who he was. We got 12 million centre back, awful. So I just think
there's an argument then to
put
him a director of football ahead of him. Then, you know what I mean? Maybe there's an argument for that.
Maybe, but I think the problem West Ham fans have with him again is when he does get these players in, because West Ham have actually made some good signings. He doesn't take the leash off, doesn't let the shackles off.
Yeah, but that's Paquetá.
Paquetá, exactly. Top players like Ben Ramos ends up going out on loan because he just couldn't get a game, and they couldn't allow him to play. Back to your point around when we didn't want him back, we just lost Ancelotti. It was like, come on, can't go from Ancelotti to David Moyes, and it was like, it's sometimes, you know, it was all right. It's ironic now because we're not in a great position. However, yeah, I have got, unlike you, and I understand where.
Listen, I'm not a West Ham or Everton fan. It's just actually if from I go, well, he's there. He got you 4th, 5th most seasons. He's got West Ham, I don't know, 7th, 8th or something at the minute.
The 9th, but yeah, they're only a couple of points off 7th, and they're still doing okay in Europe as well.
Anyway.
No, I get it.
You had Roy Hodgson. We thought he was going to go last week. He actually did go, and then the new manager's come in, and obviously you play Hughes at home. I didn't watch the game, but I've been told it's pretty dreadful. Game. Yeah, it
was just a terrible game.
I've seen a mad stat with Calvert-Lewin. He's gone 18 games, not without a goal.
It's a mad stat. It is a mad stat for any striker. I was talking to a Brighton fan on our podcast today, and he was talking about João Pedro, and I'd gone down a bit of an XG rabbit hole in terms of like looking at the leading goal scorers and how many goals they were expected to have scored. So for example, Jota's got 9 in the league, his XG was 5.
So he's above.
Yeah, exactly. João Pedro I think has got 10 and his XG was 9. So
don't even want to know what Nunes is before you.
No, I haven't. I didn't even, but I was just trying to compare it to players that I think, I mean Jota's a very good finisher, but anyway, I was only doing that as a comparison because he was one of the ones who's performing better. Calvert-Lewin almost has an identical XG to João Pedro, but he's only got 3 league goals. And literally, if you look at the goals, if you'd have put the extra 6 or 7 goals that you'd have expected Calvert-Lewin to score, we'd be a couple of points behind Brighton. Yeah. That's the difference, and obviously the 10 points.
Is that the system now as well? Like, because we're seeing that Mopai is doing okay now that he's moved on.
No, because Mopai's XG was quite low as well. He's just not taking his chances. And you can't say it's the system when you're getting chances, is it? If you're not getting chances, that's fair enough. And Mopai's XG, even though he missed a few sitters, was low because he wasn't getting that many chances. Calvert-Lewin is getting chances. You don't get a high XG, do you, if you're not getting chances to edit in or whatever. And it's just he's just on a dreadful run of form, and it's a difficult one for us to address because we haven't. Beto's decent, but he's not got the same level of.
What are the kind of what is the general feel? Because I said it to you in the group chat, and I genuinely wasn't winding it up, but straight away you thought it was, and I was like, "Are you happy with a point?" And you were like, "Don't bite to it." But like genuinely, I mean, I don't know where it is at the minute.
Come on, mate. You play it.
I was being genuinely serious.
No, we were not. That was a must-win game for me the other night. It was a must-win game, and again, I don't want to. You can watch Across the Park podcast. Generally, my feelings are it was a missed opportunity. It was a poor performance. Some poor decisions by the managers in terms of the players he didn't play. And Arna should have started the game. Harrison should have started the game. The players who were on the pitch didn't have enough of an aggressive attacking mentality. The fans were not happy with that, which I'll bring up, and I'll make sure I'll bring it up now because it was in the notes that you haven't updated. James Garner come out and said, look, I was disappointed. I think the fans need to stay behind us. You know, it's not the end of the season yet. Doesn't help when the fans are moaning and groaning in the game, but the performance was nowhere near what people were expecting against a team that was literally, they were on their arses. They looked literally terrified. They had no midfield. We just didn't do enough.
How much does that anger you though when a player's coming out?
Well,
and
I was going to say, Klopp was doing it again the other night, weren't he? Going, come on, like, give us a bit more. It's hard, isn't it? Because like, I think every football fan, maybe there's the odd exception, but I think generally, particularly on Merseyside, goes into the game thinking, come on, let's win this game. But within a couple of minutes, that can quickly change if it looks like the players are just not really putting it in, or the misplacing pattern. You're like, come on, what are you doing? Like, how do you not react to that? Do you know what I mean? And that generally is what the likes of James Garner and maybe Jurgen Klopp are referring to, is you're not allowed to be frustrated. What? You're not allowed to have expectations when you go in the grounds of like effort and quality.
I think that going to our game last night, the frustration in the first half probably then gave Klopp something to say in terms of like half time. Have you heard these? They're not impressed, I'm not impressed, and then they came out and they were a different
and I do think as well
you've got to let them know when you're not impressed with them, because we're the paying customers basically, aren't we?
It's a good point, and that may have been his reaction. I'm not sure it was, but it may have been his reaction and a way of saying to the players, look, you need to get them to understand that you do care, blah blah blah. Yet the comment that James Garner made suggested that what's going on in the changing room is probably the opposite. The manager going, look, I'm not happy with that, because you know what Deitch is like. You don't need to be his best mate to know. I'm pretty sure he runs a tight ship, and he doesn't have players coming out and talking and saying things that he doesn't agree with in the press. So I said in our podcast, I believe that's something the manager's been saying behind closed doors, saying, I'm not happy with that, and I'm going to say to the fans, they need to do a bit more for us, or they need to be a bit more respectful. So I think it's a bit of an own goal from the player and probably the manager.
Interesting. Still no news of the appeal, which I think's... Won't harp on it too much, because no doubt when it does come out we will talk about it a lot, but I'll be honest, I do feel for the fans, but I don't think the players have got like I don't think the players should be allowed to use it as an excuse.
No excuse for the players.
I get the fans are like, we don't know whether we're coming or going. The players,
on the back of what it is relevant to what I've just said about James Garner, they're probably thinking, not a bad season this, like, we've actually got 30 points, we would be in 12th place. Give us a break, like, we've done all right. And if we were 12th in the league, it's an interesting psychology, isn't it? Like, would the fans have been so desperate to win the game? No. If we wouldn't have been so desperate to win the other game the other night, it would have been, all right, we were 1-0 down, we got a point. But the fact we were in the relegation zone,
fair point,
and we needed to win. So that's what I have got a bit of sympathy for the players, is they haven't had a bad season.
But I also think, though, if you win 3 games where you're maybe drawing, I know you end up winning them. You only need to have turned around 3 games. There's your 10 points back. And
we did, though, didn't we? We did after that. After the initial deduction, they went on a boss run.
But then you've just like so it's like, I'm with the players, I've not got much sympathy.
I agree, but that's the level of the players that we have, unfortunately. We don't, with the exception of maybe Jared Brandthwaite, you could argue Jordan Pickford, maybe Anana because of future potential. We haven't got a squad full of players that are consistent, and that's why we are where we are, and that's why they're where they are.
Right, unfortunately we're going to finish off then with Man City, Liverpool and obviously Chelsea. First off, I'll just say on City, scoring again, obviously when they beat you, 65 minutes I think when they got the first one. I think it was 70 minutes against Brentford. It does for me have that kind of ominous effect of them just going through the gears.
Did they do it against Chelsea though, did they?
They didn't, no, but I thought Chelsea were brilliant by the way against them. But it does I do just get that feeling with them. They're not playing great as they proved against Chelsea, but even the Chelsea game, God, how many chances did they have? How many Haalands did they miss? It was like, you just get this feeling watching them. It's the hope that kills you when you watch Man City, because they do look like they might drop points, and then apart from Chelsea, they do get the win. And I just hope that's not a kind of like what the season's going to turn out to be, because it'd be heartbreaking if it is as a Red. So on to Chelsea then. I thought they were brilliant against Man City. I thought they were really, really good, and they've got to be the most Jekyll and Hyde team in the Prem, because they put on a performance like that against Man City, and then they get beat by Wolves. You know, you just don't know what you're going to get with them. To the point, sorry for any Reds and Muskrats, you know, listen to me say this, but I'm actually really, really nervous for Sunday.
I get that.
Because I think I've been there twice when we beat them on pens. That's obviously not going to sit well with them. We absolutely smoked them the other week, and I think that's not going to sit well with them. Poch is going to be looking for some sort of, you know, retaliation, I think, in that aspect.
Looking for a trophy for once in his life.
A trophy would be nice for him, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? He's got that personal thing against Klopp when they lost it when he was manager of Spurs. I think the injuries are huge. You know, you can almost pick a starting 11 out of our injuries that would probably get into Europe. Do you know what I mean? Our injuries, it's unbelievable. And also going down the route of not so much injuries but also fatigue, and this is when you can bring City back into the equation. You talk about an injury crisis. Here's a bit of a mad stat for you when you talk about squad depth and what it looks like over the league season. So our squad depth compared to Man City. So last year's City team that won the treble had 3 players that played over 4,000 minutes, okay? And 2 of them were career highs, right? At this rate, Liverpool will have 7 players to play over 4,000 minutes, 5 players to play over 4,500 minutes, and 2 players beyond the 5,000 minute mark.
Wow.
10 players are on target to smash their 3-year average by 30%.
So you actually had a decent season from an injury perspective, you're saying?
Up to now, but maybe the injuries we've got now is a telling sign that, you know, these are the minutes we're playing. Yeah,
they've had to clock up just to
compete.
Going.
We've now got 26 games in the next 99 days. And listen, I'm not taking anything away from City winning a treble, unbelievable, but it just shows you the squad depth that's needed when you put them, you know, minutes through those legs of what it takes. Because, you know, you look at that, there's only 3 City players that managed over 4,000 minutes. Liverpool have got 7 are going to play over 4,000, 5 over 4.5, and 2 over 5. You know, that's a lot of mileage.
I guess again, it does feed to why Klopp's so tired, doesn't it? It's like, my God, like I'm having to like come up with
squad rotation,
trying to find a way to just get an 11 out there that's going to still compete, and
I think that kind of point.
Not that anyone else needs to make more excuses for you, but you know.
No, but that point I think feeds both into the Prem and also this League Cup final, because on one hand you've got City who are just, you know, getting that 65, 70 minute goal and going on to win it, because they're bringing on Jack Grealish, 100 million. They're bringing on those 2 new lads, the young lads, Doku and
City.
Doku and who's the other one?
What's
his name?
He started, didn't he, the night?
Yeah, but you know, they're bringing these type of players on. Liverpool, on the other hand, can't really do that. I'm not saying the squad's not great, but it's not like Chelsea. It's not like, Man City's, or even Chelsea's for that matter. They're getting a lot of injuries, and now they're playing a Chelsea side. You know, you can name a whole 11 of Liverpool's injured players.
Saying that though, Chelsea aren't far behind that either. Still, I know they got some players back. They've still got something like 9 players out.
But that's why I think they're so Jekyll and Hyde, because one week, you know, they've got a few more of them back. The next week they're again out again, and I think that's where it's interesting.
Concern for users, they've got a lot more players on the pitch now that are a bit more savvy, and also some match winners. I know we spoke about Cole Palmer before you played them, didn't really get to do much in that game, but Fernandes looks like he's turning up to the party now, doesn't he? Looks like a proper player.
I think the one positive, and I'm struggling to find positives as a Red, which is horrible to say.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what you call crying it in. Go on.
I don't. I'm actually not, lad. You know what I'll say as a Red, right? I've been to watches, obviously, European Cup finals, FA Cup finals, League Cup finals, and whether it's been Real Madrid or Chelsea or whoever, Tottenham, I've always been mega confident going into it, and we've won some of them, we've lost some of them. I am actually nervous at going into this, just because I think Chelsea is so Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know what you're going to get with them. Our injuries, and it's a bit touch and go. I don't know how you're feeling, Musk, about it, whether you're confident, whether you're...
I think last weekend Chelsea showed that they can give it a go against like a top team. And it does depend, and as you just said, Enzo's being quality,
and we've had the game midweek as well.
Where we're lacking a little bit is probably the fact that some of our more dynamic players, maybe
Caicedo looks
through
a bit better
the middle.
In the last few weeks as
yeah,
well.
he's coming on a little bit better as well.
I was going to say, well, just on that one, you're saying like they competed well against Chelsea, against City. How do you think they'll approach this? Will they be looking at going, well, we're playing a team at the level of City because you just batter them at Liverpool, or they're going to be looking at going, they've got a lot of players out here, we've got a chance to actually go at them, because they were tame against you at Anfield. They kind of just sat back, didn't they? And
I think at Anfield, apart from a couple of bits of play, I think they were not wanting to get beat. Whereas obviously on Sunday they've just got to go and try and win it, and maybe impose the game a little bit more than they did a couple of weeks ago.
And does that, for that reason, does that give you a better chance with your injuries, or does it not really matter?
Mate, I'm at this point, I don't even know what the starting 11's going to be because of these injuries. I really think, will Mo and Darwin be even fit?
I think Klopp's being a little bit cloak and dagger with them too. And
he's been a bit coy on the injuries, yeah.
I reckon they, at least one of the two will probably start, but he's not giving anything away because it feeds into them knowing what the starting 11 is going to be a little bit more, but also he doesn't want to put the pressure on in case they're not there.
Yeah.
And
I think out of the two, you'd fancy Núñez to start, wouldn't you? Just because he's younger, and I think Salah's injury record and the fact
we've also got that fantastic record, which every game he starts, I don't think we've been beat or something like that. We said it last week, didn't we, on the pod? But it's a great record that he's got. And yeah, listen, I hope we go out, we get the job done. But yeah, I'm not, I'm not going to be waking up thinking it's going to be a 3 or 4-0 job or anything like that. Just because you just don't know what you're going to get from Chelsea, and we are so injury depleted. The last thing I think to finish on was obviously the game midweek. That's another reason we played midweek. Chelsea had a whole week to prepare. I think that Luton game felt like a big one. At half time, I'm sitting there thinking, what the fuck was that? And then,
so was I, my God. One time I was actually cheering you on.
It was horrendous, yeah. And then they just get that second half, really important goals. I think the personnel, Van Dijk as well, the captain, great header. We're very unlucky not to get 2 as well. The keeper made a great save. The quick thinking McAllister getting 2 assists. Just really good football, and it just felt like something. Yeah, come on, no one's playing well. All of our players are injured, yet we're still going to get the job done. Few kids coming on, and yeah, it felt like a big one. Klopp fist pumping the whole 4 sides of the grounds. Again, you can argue it's against Luton, but again, I don't know. It just felt like.
I think that's why he doesn't want to say too much about these injuries, because he can then say to the team, "Look what we did in that second half with this same group of players." Yeah. Not to say like we don't need them, because obviously you'd rather have your strongest team out there, but to say like we can still achieve something with this group of players that we've got. Let's not feel pressurised because Núñez isn't playing or Salah's not playing, that we're going to be a worse side because of it. It might give that mental edge to the players that have played last night.
Totally. Who've you got the weekend?
Brighton away, 3:00 Saturday.
Thoughts on it?
Difficult place to go anyway. The last time we did go there, we won 5-1.
I remember that. You watched it together, didn't we?
Yeah. Not going to happen again. I think
they're not playing great at the minute, though, are they?
They won 6-0 at the weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, against Sheffield United.
But as the again, I was done a preview with a Brighton fan since today. They're not looking forward to, because of the fact that he reminded me today that before we beat them 5-1 at the Amex, the last time that Dyche brought Burnley to the Amex, he'd won 3-0. So he's got 8-1 aggregate in his last 2 games.
Oh, wow,
so
okay.
Maybe there is something. I mean, obviously it was under a different manager when he's won there last time, but I don't know. Look, we're due a win. I think a lot of the players who are going to play the weekend will have played in the last. In fact, most of them will have played in the last time we won there. So maybe that's just going to give them a bit of cover. Sometimes you get that, don't you? You go to a ground or play a team and just feel like you've just got the number. Yeah. That said, I think it's going to be a tough game. I'm going to 1-1.
Well, I wish you all the best. Right. Hope you've enjoyed this week's podcast. Loads of footy there for you.
You didn't predict the cup final, by the way.
I think we're going to win. Yeah, but listen.
Penalties again.
Maybe. Yeah, I'd take pens again. We were great last time. No, I think I'm going to go for 2-1. 2-1.
That's what I've got. Yeah.
2-1. Me and Musk going 2-1. What do you think?
Fair enough. I think 2-2 in penalties. I couldn't even tell you who's going to win on pens, but I think we'll go to pens.
Fair enough. Right, nice one again for listening, everyone.
Chelsea
again
on pens.
We're here at the workshop, so again, don't forget, get down here and come and check out the roast for yourself. And also a massive shout again, let me get this right, to Hybrid Training Centre. They deliver accredited, industry-led gas, plumbing, electrical and renewable training courses across the north. If you're in the trade or you want to get into it, go and give them a look. See you next week.